Welcome back, Honors. All right, so where did we leave off? By the way, this is probably going to be the shortest flip for me that you have ever had. It might be in the range of like 5 to 8 minutes if we're lucky, but I do want to make sure that I'm going through it slow enough so you completely understand everything so we can make sure that we really wrap the roles of Augustus into this thing, right? But in class, we left off talking about Octavian, Caesar's grandnephew, rising up and forming the second triumvirate, right? And then we talked about how Octavian ends up fighting Mark Antony, right? Mark Antony, ends up being the horse that Cleopatra bet on, but lost massively in a really big way because they both end up dead. And then Lepidus, of course, was exiled to a place called Circe, right? So Octavian now has sole ruling power as the dictator of Rome following this civil war between Antony and Octavian, right? So moving forward, though, Octavian becomes the dictator in 27 BC. Notice I said the dictator, right? He is not yet the first true emperor, but he does become the first true emperor of Rome. But because what he decides to do is he restores the republic, all right? Notice I have quotes around the word republic, because here's the thing. Is the republic ever going to be the same that it was? Exactly right, Denahi. It is not going to be the same that it ever was, right? So due to the fact that Augustus inserted himself as the first citizen, right? As the first citizen of Rome. So he basically instituted himself into the former republic as one of the consuls, being the one that leads the military and is considered the one where it's basically like the first amongst equals, right? He changed his name, though, following this giving of the republic back to Augustus, which means respected one, right? Now, jumping back really quick to the fact that the Senates resented the Caesars because they thought they believed that they were gods, let's get into that in about 2 seconds, okay? But just keep that in mind, okay? Because there's a big example I want you to write next to it, all right? Just don't let me forget. Now, when Augustus gives power back to the Republic, so begins the empire period, right? Because he began to get a new nickname referring to him not as the first citizen, but as something completely different. And it's where the word emperor comes from. But that's on the next slide, so give me a second, all right? But he starts a period known as the Pax Romana, right? Also known as Roman peace. Even though, ironically enough, it wasn't that peaceful because they were still in a lot of wars, right? But it was very peaceful for the Romans, right? So remember, the Romans are very, very arrogant. They like to exaggerate a lot of things. But they did consider this a great golden age of their empire, right? Ranging from 27 BC to about 227 BC. A golden age that included the growth of art, the growth of economy, the growth of borders, the growth of the military, the growth of everything positive that could have contributed back to the Roman era, right? The Pax Romana. Make sure you circle that, star it, highlight it. It's a very important thing that a lot of kids tend to forget whenever test time comes, right? Now, let's talk really brief. I wonder if I could actually, basically get this. No, I'm trying to put my face on top of the statue, but it's not working. Now, anyway, but let's get back to the fact that the Senate resented them because they thought they were gods, right? So this is a great example of that resentment, right? Now, Julius Caesar and his grandnephew Augustus end up doing a lot of building, if you will, right? So a lot of the things that they are going to begin to adopt and statues that they're going to have made of them that are going to be posted around the Senate and things like that actually doubled in size compared to former Roman hero statues, right? They were the size of actual statues that gods were in many of the temples, right? So also, speaking of, this one right here is the most famous statue of Augustus. And does anybody see the baby grabbing onto his leg down here? Yeah, that's Cupid, right? So trying to show the divine inspiration and intervention of the gods, right? But also, look at what he's wearing, right? What's he wearing in the statue? That's exactly right, Gianna. He's wearing military garb, right? Proclaiming his domination and control of the military and pointing off into the distance as the advancement of the empire, right? I think Augustus is the man. I'm sorry, I do. But I think, honestly, he's probably my second most favorite person in all of ancient history, right? Pericles, of course, being number 3, this guy being number 2, and all of you are like, what's number 1? We'll talk about it later. It'll be okay. All right, so now continuing forward, though. Augustus, major figure. So let's talk about some of the achievements of Augustus during this Pax Romana period, right? Augustus is going to be considered the first true emperor of Rome, right? Due to the fact they established this new republic known as the Principate, or like, remember, in this new republic, he called himself the Principate, right? The first citizen, or the first amongst all, right? But the people are going to begin to refer to him as the Imperator, right? The Imperator is actually a title given to a conquering general, right? And over time, that word Imperator is going to be twisted into the word emperor, all right? So that's where we got the title for the emperor, right? The leader of the military during this empire period. That's where the word, like, emperor comes from. So that is why we consider him the first true emperor of Rome, because he was no longer just a dictator. He was the Principate and the Imperator combined into one, making him the first true emperor of Rome, right? Under the leadership of Augustus, though, he was no slouch, right? Remember how we talked about the Mycenaeans and how everybody kind of just brushes them off in history because it's like, oh, it's just the Mycenaeans. It's not the classical Athenians. Well, just like the Mycenaeans, Augustus was no slouch, right? The following things were accomplished. First of all, he sets up a constitutional monarchy. He actually makes it so during the empire period, a document establishing the structure of the government is written, and this is also when a king must actually work with other governing bodies and following the rules of other citizens, being the Senate, right? So he makes himself the first citizen amongst these people. He believes that he is not above them, that he is a part of them, right? So that's your constitutional monarchy, right? Laws are passed giving citizens more rights. This is another really cool thing he does. He's the first Roman leader to actually formally take a census, right? So he adopts the census system, and what a census is, it's a count of all the people actually existing in an empire, their land holdings, how many people live with them. Also, why is this so important? That's exactly right over there, Becker. It's an effective tax system, right? So the census is phenomenally important. He's going to expand infrastructure. The road system is going to be expanded under him. New government buildings are going to be coming in as well, right? The Pantheon actually is established during the Pax Romana. The Colosseum. The, what's the other big one? Why can't I remember? Oh, the Palatine Hill, right? The layer of the emperors is going to be built to him as well. He also is going to expand the aqueduct system, and he's going to create the first professional army. What a professional army is a army that works year-round and is formal. It has uniforms, it has standard issue weapons, it has retirement benefits for the veterans. It is a professional army. That is their job. It is no longer an army of plebeians being led by an army of patricians, right? And the last thing, he creates the Praetorian Guard, right? The Praetorian Guard becomes like the secret service of the Roman emperors. The Praetorian Guard is their bodyguards, right? Now, these people are phenomenally important. I need you to underline the Praetorians because that one group of people, like I was talking to, I think, Denahi, Nikki Del Rey, I think Michael on the way to Keogh's class, gross, the other day, but the Praetorian Guard ends up becoming basically a major history-making group in Rome because they start deciding that they want to kill some of these emperors, right? So, we're going to cut it there. Like I told you, it wasn't that long, right? But that's where we're going to wrap up. So I'll see you guys on Monday, and we're going to be looking at a lot of pictures on Monday, right? A ton of pictures with no words on the screen, and you kind of have to jot things down where you see fit, okay? But we'll talk about it then. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Go Birds. I'll see y'all later.